Hello fellow feathered friends and welcome to a new setup tutorial on this channel. Today we will show a possible setup for Godot C++ development on a Linux machine. Everything was packed in a simple GitHub project so you can easily use and modify the setup for your own purposes. But first we want to say thank you to all your supporters. You're not only helping through your Patreon support, but also give lots of great feedback by commenting and suggesting topics. We hope to create even more interesting content for you and with you. So let's get started. As so often, we need to download all necessary files to go ahead. And of course, we have all important links for you in the description. At first, you'll need all building dependencies for your specific platform. Here we recommend to just go to the Godot documentations, and here in this list, you got some nice and practical distro-specific one-liners. So, what you simply have to do is to search your distro. For the most people, it should be Debian Ubuntu, or in our case, for Arch Linux. Then copy the entire one-liner and paste it in your command line. Pay attention here. Often you need root privileges to install new software. For that, you simply add in sudo at the beginning of the one-liner. When you press enter, your operating system will check if everything is installed, and if not, it takes some time to download the dependencies. Some additional tools we need to install are Python, Git, and VSCode. Usually, you can download these tools also with your default package manager. The most modern Linux distros also have a graphical user interface for the installing process, so this step shouldn't be too hard. After we got all necessary dependencies and tools, we are ready to set up the actual Godot project. So here we need an empty folder where we can set up the project. In our case, this can be done on the desktop. So we start a fresh terminal, navigate to our folder, and start cloning the project setup from our GitHub. So you type into the terminal git clone, and then paste the link which you can find in the description. If you cloned the repo successfully, we will quickly explain the files it contains. The license and README file are just additional information and technically can be deleted without any errors. The VS Code folder and the source code workspace are important for your scripting environment. Here we've made some presets for compiling, etc. Next we have, on the one hand, the calculator folder, a simple example for a custom Godot node, which gets compiled into the engine. And on the other hand, the example player folder. This is an example for some native code which can be used with the GDNative feature in Godot. Last but not least, we have the quick setup.sh. This is a bash script which will do the entire download and setup process. Since you shouldn't ever trust unknown bash files blindly, you can run your favorite text editor to check what exactly happens in the script file. But in this case, don't worry, this script is completely safe. Otherwise, at this point, some customizations are possible. Things of interest are the git clone and the sconce build commands. With the last argument of the git clone, you can choose which Godot branch you want to download and build. And down here, on each sconce command, you can adjust the used threads with the J parameter. In our case, we download the 3.2 branch and build the files with all 8 threads which are available. Okay, now when your bash script is alright, we recommend to run the script in a new terminal. This way you can track the progress and you know when everything is finished or where the script gets stuck if anything fails. Since the download and first building process took an insane amount of time, we fast forward this until everything is ready. So just run sh quick setup.sh. finally everything is finished, and we can now explain the usage and structure of the setup. First, we show you what exactly gets built. Second, how it gets built, and at the end we jump into the VSCode project and its specials. You've probably already noticed that we got some new folder and files in our project. Here, our Godot tools is the build Godot engine. Every new rebuild will automatically copy the engine into this parent folder. In this case, our engine already has the calculator module compiled. Next, we have the export folder. In the core, this is just a folder structure, so you easily find the exports for all platforms and your GD native libraries. And within the library folder, we get pre-built native libs of our example player. These libraries can be used as a GD native lib in our Godot projects. So now let's jump back to the parent folder right into the source folder. Here are the more interesting parts of the setup. The Godot and Godot CPP folder are the original Godot repos. The Godot CPP repo is needed to generate the C++ bindings and to compile libraries with native code. The bindings are already generated through the quicksetup.sh, so currently in this folder is nothing to do. Otherwise, in the Godot folder, where the source code is located. Here you can modify everything you need. Here in this example, we added our calculator as custom module, which already got built in our engine. In the third folder, you got the native libraries. Here you can organize all your code which is used through the GD native feature. As said, you can find the example player as, example. This is a common way to implement native code, and you easily can reuse the structure. To save some time, we wrote this little build all.sh script. You can run the script through your IDE to build the most used combinations of debug, release, x64 or x84 builds. So now we talked enough about the structure stuff. Let's jump back into the source folder to get VSCode ready. At this moment we can start VSCode. If you have some recent project files loaded, make sure each file and workspace gets closed. When everything is fine, we go to File, Open Workspace, and choose our source code workspace. Your Explorer window in VSCode should now update, and we can see our 4 folders and our workspace settings. If you never used VSCode with C++ before, you need some extensions at this point to get nice highlights and auto-completions. Simply go to the Extensions tab and download what you need. Here we recommend the C++ package from Microsoft, and if you like, you can also download the Godot tools by this user. Sorry, I really can't pronounce it. I tried a lot. The Godot tools are used to connect Godot and GDScript with the VSCode editor. Okay, now we have all important setups done, and you theoretically can start coding your own stuff in C++. But to avoid some mistakes, we want to explain some things around this VSCode setup. Always keep in mind that this isn't one big code base. On the one hand, you have the Godot CPP headers to provide native code with GD native, and on the other hand, you have the source code of the engine, which actually compiles into an executable of the engine. And here you really need to pay attention. Each codebase has its own header and includes, but in the current setup, IntelliSense will show you all header files even if they aren't available in the current codebase. For example, when you take a look here in the player CPP, our native code library, technically we can select includes of the other codebase. Here we can include the node header, which is located in the Godot scene main folder. But as soon as we try to compile everything, our compiler throws an error with the message that the include can't be found. The right header you should include must be located in the same codebase. So in our native example, we cannot include from the Godot source code. So in this case, we need to include the node HPP. This HPP is located in Godot CPP, include, gen. So it is in the same codebase. At first, this may sound confusing, and maybe it is. We are sure that this problem is just a problem with the IntelliSense setup in VSCode. But in the core, you still have the same feature set. You just have to include the right headers of the same codebase. To build the different parts, you can use the pre-configured build tasks. The shortcut here is Ctrl-Shift-B. Then simply choose what you need, and now the files rebuild and replace the old ones. If something doesn't work out right for you, you can customize the VSCode workspace with the files located in the VSCode folder and the source code workspace file. But this definitely will go far too much into detail for now. In the future, the setup will get fixed and more stable, so feedback and tips are always welcome and needed. Nevertheless, this isn't a perfect Godot setup for all use cases, but we think the most can be optimized through customization. So now we are finally at the end of the video. We really hope that you could get some useful knowledge out of this project, or maybe it is exactly what you were looking for, and that it wasn't too confusing. As always, this channel lives from the support and feedback of the community, so feel free to leave your questions, suggestions, and comments below, and we'll see us in the next video. Bye!